Welcome. I'm Richard HAASNOOT, and I'm your host for the Wisdom Inspired Life series, where my goal is to help you live more of a wisdom-inspired life, the highest form of life that us humans can live. In the course of sharing this wisdom, I'll also be sharing with you some specific suggestions that you can use to help you live more of a wisdom-inspired life. The wisdom in this series comes from three God-realized enlightened avatars: Krishna, Jesus, and Paramahansa Yogananda. As God-realized enlightened avatars, they know God, so when they speak or write, we're hearing the wisdom of God. So let's get into today's first piece of wisdom, and this episode deals with both realization and divine insight. Some very interesting stuff here, if I do say so myself. So, quote, "The man of realization develops extraordinary powers of clairaudience and clairvoyance. The mind comprehends everything intuitively. The intelligence is no longer guided by fallible human reason, but by unerring divine wisdom." Boy, there's a lot here, but let me deal with some of the parts of this that I've dealt with in other episodes. The man of realization, it's when you become an enlightened being, a God-realized being, when you graduate from the human kingdom. I know that sounds a bit strange to you, but indeed we're aware of four kingdoms: the mineral, plant, animal, and human. And to think that that's all the kingdoms that are in the universe everywhere would be a mistake. There actually is on planet Earth, for discussion another day, a divine or spiritual kingdom, which is where people go that when they achieve enlightenment, like Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, Paramahansa Yogananda, and other God-realized beings. Okay, so here it says the mind comprehends everything intuitively and is no longer guided by fallible human reason. Another way of saying this is a man or woman of realization is no longer guided by their ego, which is about me, but is instead guided by their soul, which is us, all that is. Okay? And that's intuitive guidance, which comes from our soul. That is the spark of divinity or reflection of divinity that exists in all of us. So we've let go of the ego, and now the soul is in charge. Okay, so a lot of deep insights here in this one sentence. Okay, so how do you go about developing this divine wisdom? Well, I've already touched on part of it, a very important part of it, which is developing your intuition, and which is your inner guidance system. It's your connection. Intuition is your connection to your soul, or the voice of your soul, as I describe it. Okay? And you do that through meditation primarily. I've had some of the episodes that have gone a bit deeper on this you may want to review that have already been released. The second thing you can do is faith and surrender. Faith is deep knowing, but you don't know necessarily all of the details. You may, but you may not. And surrender. Surrendering to God, surrendering our ego, surrendering the ways we've been making decisions with good habits, bad habits, beliefs that serve us well, don't serve us well. Surrender them. Okay? All of that is very, very important. And lastly, as we gain intuitive connection, align your will with the divine will. It's the saying, let thy will be done on earth. Let God's will be done on earth. Okay? Let our intuition set our goals and the guidelines for our life going forward. Okay? The next quote. "The wise alone can be really merciful, for with divine insight they perceive even wrongdoers as souls, God's children who deserve sympathy, forgiveness, help, and guidance when they go astray. Mercy implies the capacity for being helpful. Only developed or qualified souls are capable of being practically merciful and useful, okay? Qualified souls are ones that are fairly advanced, that have connections guided by our soul, okay? The key thing here is even good and bad people that may be considered evil people, good people, all that sort of thing, they all have a soul. They are all they are all one of God's children, okay? They're making some bad decisions right now. They're doing maybe some bad things, but they deserve our sympathy, forgiveness, help, and guidance. One of the things that Jesus taught very, very profoundly, especially in the time that he taught, was that God was a forgiving God. Prior to that, God was seen as a pretty punishing, strict God. So Jesus brought this great message of God being a forgiving God. Okay? So, how do you go about developing mercy? Well, some thoughts for your consideration. First of all, cultivate empathy. What's empathy? I feel your pain. I feel the emotions that you're experiencing. I feel you. I get you. I understand you. And that just doesn't happen miraculously. It requires communication to get that. But cultivate empathy, that you get to understand them, and it's not all about you, okay? Second, practice mindfulness, because developing a merciful way of living is not something that happens easily or even naturally for a lot of people. Mindfulness is very closely connected to meditation, which I've talked about many times here, as a cornerstone spiritual practice. And lastly, not surprisingly, practice non-judgment. Okay? You're merciful, you're forgiving, you're helping, you're guiding, you're not judging and punishing. Okay? Practice non-judgment. Well, as always, I deeply appreciate you watching these episodes. I look forward to reconnecting with you soon. Thank you very much.